Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Bokonjre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is Between the Headlines. My name is Dennis Jai, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Tonight, lots and lots of issues are happening in Liberia. We're going to get to later, but before we get there, I have the honor of being in the house with Mr. Nehemiah Garley, who is running to be the state senator, District number 38 in Minnesota. Mr. Nehemiah Garley is here with me, and I'm glad to have him to see that he's running to be a state senator. Let me welcome my guest, Mr. Nehemiah Garley. Welcome, sir.
Yes, thank you so much, John. Thank you so much. I'm grateful to be on your show. I'm privileged to be on your show, and thank you so much. Thanks to the family of Focus on Liberia for having me.
Thank you. Mr. Nehemiah Garley is running for state senator, that's District number 38. His strategic priorities, he said, according to his flyer: gun violence prevention and safety, education excellence and youth development, business development and high-paying jobs, affordability, and lower taxes. So slogan: vote for action. And we are glad to have the Senate aspirant right here with us in studio. We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. If you have not already done so, please share the show, invite someone, and let's talk about our brother, our friend, and someone who is going to be, he will say, by the grace of God. No wonder why it's called Nehemiah. But again, let me welcome you. We're glad to have you. Let's start by saying, who is Nehemiah Garley and why is he running? Let's start from there.
So we start with the who. The who is so a lifelong, I'm a Liberian-born immigrant. Came to the U.S. 1991 because of the Civil War. I've been here for about 34 years. I grew up in this area. I'm a single father for three kids. And then so I a foster parent and work with the youth in the community. That's part of what I do. Serve on the Human Rights Commission for the City of Brooklyn Park. I'm the executive director and founder for Rise Beyond Hate, and I also have the opportunity to serve on as the board of directors for Chaps Incorporated that works with marginalized youth.
Thank you, thank you. We're glad to have you. So you are running again, still getting to know you a little more. Is you are running in District 38.
That's
District
correct.
38. Let's see where that is.
That, that
So let's
covers
start from
Brooklyn
here.
Park. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Yeah, tell me about District 38.
So District 38 covers Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, and Osseo. But it's not the full. It's a certain portion of Osseo, a certain portion of Brooklyn Park. So Brooklyn Park, if the West District, part of the East District, and a little bit of the Central District falls under my district.
Okay. And this is where you've been living for the past 30 years, or you've.
Yeah. So yes and no. So I grew up over North Minneapolis. Where I went to high school at Northeast or in Northeast Minneapolis at Edison High School. I've been in Brooklyn Park forever. So back then, because where I live was closer to the border of Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center, Minneapolis. So actually, my my first no my second job in the U.S. was in Brooklyn Center. So I've always had that tie. When I started business in Brooklyn Park. I remember back then, probably at the age of 22, when I started to work for myself, and my first office was in Brooklyn Park. So ever since Brooklyn Center has been a home for me. I
Mm,
worked in I remember back then in as a kid I worked in Osseo at nursing homes in Osseo and nursing home in Brooklyn Center. I worked with the Brooklyn Mall when I was in high school. I worked at the Brooklyn Mall. At the time, there was a store called G. Reagan's. So
mm,
I have always been a member of District 38.
mm. Let's look at the demographic. Who live in this area? You're running. So tell me a little bit about the composition of District 38.
So District 38 is such a unique district. District 38 is the most diverse district in the state of Minnesota. So we have everyone here. The this is it's a heavily populated immigrant community. So there's Liberians, African American, Nigerians, Caucasians. We have you name it. We have different folks. The monks. There's we have different cultural background in this district.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I came here. I came like you. I'm an immigrant as well. Maybe I came 9 years after you came. But what got
Okay.
you interested in politics? Normally when we come, we want to make money, work in healthcare, IT, or this kind of areas, so that we can get money and send it back home. And all that. What got you interested in politics?
So this is for me. I think it's simple. I always tell people I'm not a politician. I have been a lifelong advocate. So working as a mentor, violence prevention and immigration work, and I just realized that I don't want to be chasing solving problems. I want to be a part of policy something you can put in place
Right.
that will help reduce the problems. So I found myself as a lifelong advocate. It's mostly what you do is just consistently trying to solve problems, consistently trying to solve problems. And I sat back and said, you know what, I probably need to get on the policy end. So where we can put measures in place, preventative measures in place, policies in place that prevent as compared to running after solving problems.
Thank you.
So
So
that's no, you go ahead.
yeah. So what was that point that you decided that I'm going to put my heart in the ring?
So I'm a foster parent, and then one of the things that having kids, I have a story that I would take with me to the capital of two kids, a baby and her brother, And when I saw how they would bounce around in the system, and some of the things I look back, I said these things are policy issues, and the issues that foster parents having, and where you have a system where, and I like family. I like the union of a family being together. When I see that the system separate family at especially the minority kids at a larger margin as compared to kids from other race. And I said that something has to happen. So these two babies, I would never forget the story that I sleep with a story and wake up with a story every night, especially being a single father at the time when I lost my wife.
Oh,
So those was part of the reason. Then when I look into the community like District 38, where like the city that I admire so much at the time was Brooklyn Center, where my second job was at Brooklyn Center. We come to the movie theater in Brooklyn Center. After school, we go to Brooklyn Center, we hang out. We spend money in the district. Now, businesses are closing at a fast speed. I just yesterday I was when we talked, I was at a store in Brooklyn Center that's going out of business, a small business owner that's losing a business economy. So we have a lot of big stores, big businesses. I live in our district. We have the opportunity zone in Brooklyn Center that has been tapped into, and it sits there. So when I look at all of these things, I said, no, something has to happen. We cannot continue to sit back and see a city that we cherish so much, that have given so much to me, keep going down the drain. I have seen the city at the best, and I've seen the city at the worst. And I think these are one of the worst times for our district.
thank you. So now in government, I've never worked in
Mhm.
government. Since I've been in the United States, it's been always corporate. So to admit my naivety when it comes to how government works. But we have the city council. We also
Yes,
have county council. You have
yes,
state representative, state senator. I mean,
yes.
why state senator? Why not anything else? What is it about state senator that you think they're where you need to be, not representative, not city council, not county council, any of those?
I think it's my calling. I I I believe that I want to come in from a policy standpoint, and I'm the type of person. I have a good relationship with everyone. I have a working relationship with the current city, the city mayor, the representative, people of the council, member of the city council, and I think if I take that leadership role as a senate, I can work with these people. I've been in touch with the conversation with the city mayor of Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center. I haven't had a conversation with the city mayor in Osceola yet, for us to try to put a plan together, a workable plan. So we, as a senator, I want to be able to make policies and work with the folks in leadership to implement those policies. So it's almost like putting a team together, a team of people to work with, and that's what I'm looking forward to, and that's why I decided to go to the Senate, is to sit at that level and try to shape the dream of the city.
Hmm. You are running out of time. Is some of the difficult period in American history, and Minnesota has been the epicenter of all the things that are going on. First of all, how are you doing with this? Right, with all the things we watch on TV, it appears pretty rough. How are you coping? How's family, and how you dealing with it, and how are you able to get in this field at such a time?
Dennis, in life, there's always, I believe, there's always a right time for everything. And I went to a church on Sunday, last Sunday, and when the pastor introduced me, when he preached, my name is Nehemiah,
Mhm.
and I'm here to rebuild. When these situations, that's what we've been going through, and that's what I love Minnesota so much. We have stood by one another. We have stood by our neighbors. We have stood for we have stood on our principles. You understand? So my thing is that when in term of crisis, that's when leadership rises. And my coming in at this time is to bring leadership to our district, is to bring leadership to the state of Minnesota, to make sure these things that we are going through, that we don't have to go through them in the future. So I believe this is the right time.
And how did your background as a Liberian immigrant, what is how is your background helping you to do this, to do what you're doing? Is there anything, if you look back, that you're pulling from there that is giving you the courage, that is driving you, and that is keeping you going in spite of the challenges?
Dennis, being a Liberian in my family background, my father was in the military, and my father used to love to serve. My mother was the same thing, and for some strange reason, I have service in me. So with those attributes, from my grandparents, growing up around my grandparents, seeing the structure that my parents, instilled in me, in the discipline, and those are some of the things that within my background that prepared me for this role. One of the things that then is I've always healed myself. I've always been a resilient person. When I was pretty young, I lost my wife to gun violence. I raised my kids, three kids, as a single father, and I learned how to braid my daughter hair. I cook, I clean, I do everything as a single father. But it was all that from all my upbringing. Yeah,
Well,
I know my father. He always used to say to me that man was born to conquer all circumstances. Man was born to conquer all circumstances. And when things happen, I say, okay, these are the moment that my father spoke of.
thank you. I mean, I'm sorry to hear that story about your wife. My profound
Thank you.
condolence. So now, you're running. Do where are you in the process? Primary, and who are your competitors?
Dennis, the process has been so great. I'm so grateful to District 38. I'm grateful to the community. I've gotten a lot of support. I was able to launch my campaign of I think 2 Sundays ago. It was a pretty good turnout. There's a lot of momentum on the campaign trail. We just got done with caucusing. I'm seeking the Democratic endorsement. We got done with the caucus. We are going into the convention. My convention is March 7th. I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to that. And I think for the level of support that I've received from the community, District 38 it has been overwhelming. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that if we continue to put in the work, I just can't wait to bring that change in leadership to District 38. I
Let's talk
can't
about, is there
wait.
any incumbent, someone you're trying to unseat?
Yes, Susan Powell. Susan Powell.
And how many people in the so you got a primary and all that?
Yes. So for
Tell
now,
me
we
a
are
little
only
bit
two.
about that. Who are those that will be running against you?
So right now, I know right now Susan Powell is seeking the party endorsement. I'm seeking the party endorsement. So we're gonna get to the convention March 7th and then see who wins that endorsement. And obviously we're gonna go to a primary in August 11th. So after that primary, I haven't heard from the Republicans and I haven't heard who's running yet. The last time I checked, the Republicans they haven't put up a candidate yet in that district. So for now, it's just Susan Powell and myself.
Thank you. So what is your message? What are you trying to change?
I want to bring stability back to families. District 38 has been a great it's a great district, a diverse district, and I think we need to bring stability to family. One of the things that broke my heart when I was on a campaign trail, I met this senior citizen, and she expressed the fear that she has living in her community in Brooklyn Center specifically because she was robbed. And I said, public safety, public safety. The businesses are leaving. We need to empower the residents of 38 to be business owners. We need to bring good, high-paying jobs back to the district. We have all the big stores that have been leaving. One of the things I always said that I always admire was the Brooklyn Mall. Right now, the entire district we have no mall.
Mm.
Um, so how can we empower our neighbors? How can we empower them? We need to spend our money where we live. We cannot continue to leave the district to shop and work. We need to bring good paying jobs back home, back in our district. You know, so public safety is key. I'm focusing on education. The crime rating in the district is high. It's Brooklyn Center specifically. So we have hotel. The hotels now are being used for prostitution. The auto theft, and all these things are done mostly by youth. So how can we drive the crime out of this city? How can we drive? We can only do that by empowering our young people, bringing businesses back to our district, empowering law enforcement.
Thank you. So, what sets you apart?
I have a live experience. I have a live experience. There's no disrespect to Susan Powell. I have lived in this district I've been in this district for 34 years. I've seen it up, I've seen it down. I've lost my wife in this district. I've raised my kids in this district. My kids went to school in this district. I am a member of the district. I'm connected to the homes in the district. I have conversations with them. I'm not coming from a policy standpoint. I'm not just someone who just want to go and wait and just sitting there and run policy, write policies. I had a meeting today with a bunch of senior citizens that live in an apartment building that the heat has been out for almost a month. Who's fighting for them? But I have relatives live in the buildings.
Mm.
I have when so it's personal to me. It's not just about policy. When I hear a senior citizen that tells me that I was raised in this community, I work in this community, I retire in this community, and I don't feel safe anymore, that matters to me. I was at the library having conversation with member of the community, and this lady clearly told me that her husband was robbed and assaulted, and shortly after he died in Brooklyn Center. That lady matters to me. You understand? I've lived with the trauma of gun violence. So I'm not just coming from a policy standpoint. It's a lived experience that I'm coming with.
Thank you. And as we
And
want you all,
to throw another thing in, I have a nonprofit organization that works with marginalized youth. You understand? So we violence prevention. Those are some of the things that I teach. I've been teaching the youth. That mentorship to our young people. Those are some of the things that the young people need. My opponent doesn't have the life experience. They're not saying that to disrespect her work. She's has been on the policy point, but this will has to have a change in leadership if we want to shift the future of District 38.
so those watching you now by television, everywhere else, and even later, what do you want from them?
Come again?
What do you want those watching you in District 38 to do?
Hey, District 38, I'm going to speak directly to you. I want you to trust my leadership. I'm coming in from a different perspective. I'm coming in from a lived experience. I'm one of you. I've lived in this district. I have worked in this district. I've raised my kids in this district. And I want to shift where we are now. We are headed down the wrong path. We're seeing businesses leaving. The just the other day, LA Fitness has left our district. Target has left. Walmart has left. We need a change of leadership. I want you to come along with me. Trust in my leadership. Let's move our district to a better direction. Let's work for the future of our district, the future of our children. That we can go back to the days where Brooklyn Center was a safe place to live, where District 38 was a safe place to live. That's I'm looking for. I want volunteers to come on board to work the campaign. I want door knockers. We are raising funds. We're going to the convention in March, and after that, we're going to start aggressively campaigning. I will need all hands on deck. Your phone is out.
So from today up to, let me see the election time, or from now on to election day, what are the plans? What's if I were asked for your project implementation plan? Tell me what you're
From
going
now
to
to
do
the
from
election.
now on to your caucus.
So I continue to speak to my neighbors. I continue to have conversations. I'm having group conversations. I'm hosting on next Friday. I'm hosting a group of senior citizens, specifically from the Liberian community that live mostly in the West District and other part of the community. I want to. I'm having discussion with them. I've been on. I'm having this. I'm meeting with daycares and businesses to figure out what issues they are going through and how what they want from a leadership. So I'll continue to do that. I'm going to continue having conversations with everyone within and even out of the district. People ask me questions. I'm open to answer the questions and to make our just to continue to make the campaign you know viable and keep the momentum going.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. Our guest is Mr. Nehemiah Garley. He's running for state senate in district number 8, that's Minnesota. If you want to be a part of the conversation, we are winding it down. Please call the number 605-313-6004 if you have a question for Mr. Garley, or you want to give a comment, or you want to contribute to his campaign. Whatever you want to do, please call the number, and you can also comment. In our second half of today's show, we're going to be talking about the case involving Prophet Key. He's been sentenced to a 6-month imprisonment for contempt. What does that all mean? We're going to talk to the legal minds. In the meantime, please call 605-313-6004. The code is 791403 pound. It's right there on your screen. So if you have a question or comment or anything you want to say to Mr. Garley, please call. Normally, when people are running, they talk about base, right? They talk about, and base could mean anything.
Yes.
What's your base?
So my base is 38. So my business, I have a very good relationship with the Liberian community. They have been excited everywhere I turn. I've received a lot of excitement from that community, and I'm hoping to continue to build on that and incorporate everyone else.
Thank you. As we wind down, please. Anything else that you want to say that I didn't ask you? If you have anything else to say, please go ahead. And we want to call you back as you get in the campaign. But for now, we're going to be calling it a day. But let me get your final words as you leave us.
So I will be happy to come back anytime. Anytime you want me to, just call me. I will be more than happy to appear on the show. I will keep you updated with progress on the campaign. We are going to caucus to convention on March 7th. So I will call you with the exciting news, DJ. Once I win that party nomination, I will call you so we can celebrate. As I said, I just looking to have a shift in leadership in our district, that we don't continue to go down the path that we are going through. I have a fear that if we give the current leadership another 4 years, we would not have a district. We cannot afford to have our senior citizens live in fear. We cannot afford to have parents worry about their kids. We cannot afford to have our district has no nightlife. Restaurants close at certain time of the night, and out of fear they don't even open. I was talking to a restaurant owner who says that he had to move out of the district because of consistent auto theft, and now he's just only doing his business within the city. So we need to fight for those businesses. We need to fight for our district.
Thank you. Again, Alan Yin can say, good luck, senior fellow. Pursue your dream. There's power in your story about your early life, family, friends, and community, present situation, opportunities, and future aspiration. Mr. Garley, again, thank you so much for honoring our invitation to be here. We wish you all the best and look forward to inviting you back as the next senator of District Number 6.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alan. I appreciate your words of encouragement, and thank you so much, Dennis. You have been so great to talk to, and I think you and I got to talk offline. I need your consultancy. We need your more.
Thank you very much.
I just want to give a shout out to my big brother, man. Captain Dwayne, thank you so much. You're such a lovely, lovely big brother. I really appreciate you. I appreciate all your love and support, and we will continue to work. And if we continue on the path that we are on, I can honestly assure you that your little brother will be the next senator, and our community will be represented. So thank you so much, big brother Carpet. I hope you are watching, and thank you so much, DJ. And I look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you. On that note, we want to say thank you for coming, and have a good night and a good part of the rest of the day.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to go to our next segment, which is we're going to be talking about Prophet Key. That's Prophet Key, what happened today. And Councillor Jewel is in the background. He's going to be coming up very soon. He's having some issues there. As soon as Councillor Jewel comes, we're going to be getting into the second half of our show. We also have other focus on Labrador panelists. They're going to be joining us very shortly. At this time, we're going to take a short break, and we will be right back.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jar.
Thank you, Councillor Jewel. Welcome to the show. Are you there?
I'm here. Is my camera okay now? I see I'm still black.
Yeah, your camera is not on, but we can hear you. We want you to, it's like you're going off and on. Welcome, Councillor Joy.
Yep. Am I okay now?
No, the audio is okay, but there's no camera.
I don't know why. I see there is an X-ordered video.
Yeah. Click on that X and see what oh yeah, it's gone again. That is gone again. While we wait for Councillor Jewel, we have the verdict of
Okay.
Yeah. Are you using your computer or something?
Yeah, I'm using the computer in my office.
Oh, okay. I don't know why it's doing that.
But is the audio okay?
The audio is okay.
Okay. I don't
I
know.
just hope that we don't get disconnected again.
Yeah, I see it says select device.
Yeah. So today ruling. Let me start with the brother and Councillor Jera will go on and say the Article 15. Okay. Yeah, Evans there. We're waiting for the council. Article 15 of the 19th. It says Liberian Constitution guarantee freedom of speech to all citizens. All right. But to all citizens, let me read that. But with a caveat that the individual shall be responsible for the abuse thereof. That Liberia has a civilized African nation, respect and recognize the cultural and traditional norms that guide the civilized nation, and respect the womanhood of women, and that in the instant case, the contender, having over the years engaged in invectives, vulgar language, profanities, and outright abuse against prominent Liberians, especially women, and now the mother of the sitting Chief Justice, his action run contrary to the spirit, letters of the intent of the Constitution. Hence, his actions constitute contempt of the Honorable Supreme Court and punishable as such. Wherefore, and in view of the foregoing, the contemptor is hereby adjudged guilty of criminal contempt, and the court hereby imposes a definite and certain imprisonment of 6 months or 180 calendar days at the Morovia Central Prison, and that prior to his release, he is hereby ordered to publish a letter of apology to the Supreme Court and to all Liberians, especially Liberian women, in 3 widely circulated newspapers for 5 consecutive days, and that in addition, he is further ordered as a precondition to his relief to execute and file behavior bond with the clerk of the Supreme Court, clearly indicating that he will never use invectives and vulgar languages, profanities, or outright abuse of any Liberian. That this order takes immediate effect, and it is hereby so ordered. Bum. Evans, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. John.
Yeah, we still have Councillor Jewa. You can restart your device. Let's see whether that's going to help. Maybe there's another application that is competing for the camera, so you can restart the device and.
I go into the settings and the permission for that app to give it camera access. Unless it's on a computer.
Yeah, let him just. But Evans, welcome, man. Let's start. Before Councillor Jewa come, who will break the law down to us. Let me ask you. I mean, I was talking to my brother before the show. He said he was not even. He never thought that Prophet Key was even in Liberia because of the way he talks. What's your reaction to what went down today?
I mean, first of all, let me condemn Prophet Key and the utterances that comes out of his mouth. It's always disrespectful and filled with invectives, like the justice said. But I think this was an abuse of his constitutional right. Look, there's no law in Liberia that says that if you cut somebody, you go to jail. Even the slander and libel laws, especially when it comes to public servant and public officials, the bar is higher than just a private individual. And usually to find someone guilty of slander, you have to go through a judicial process. And what the judge did was a smart way to do, to say, okay, bring the evidence or else I'll hold you in contempt of court. You can't do that. As a justice, this person has to have their day in court. If you think that they defame you or slander you, go through the process. But even as a Chief Justice, you shouldn't be going to tune that back. But Prophet Key, I tell people all the time, you ran from the frying pan and jumped into the fire. When you were cussing George Weah, you were saying all these crazy things. Even when Weah saw him, he gave him a hug, gave him a handshake, and let him and went by his way. But these guys will tell you that you would never do that and get away with it. They were threatening you with the traditional people. They were threatening you with violence. They were threatening you with reprisal. And now he's saying it. I disagree with his utterances, but he should not be in jail, should not be in prison. If you think what he said was slanderous, take him to court and go through the court process, the legal process, and let it be adjudicated before a juror. You as the judge cannot be the juror and the judge at the same time in a case that has to do. It's almost you have to recuse yourself. If it's a personal matter, if you think the man is insulting your mother, you have to file a case against him and let a different judge handle the case. But to then file a contempt charge against him, it's abuse of power. It really is. It's abuse of power. And I think we've been regressing when it comes to freedom of speech. We saw what happened with Yeka Koluba. Now, Prophet Key, I think we've been regressing under this government. They've done some good things, but certainly when it comes to people individual freedom, there's been a regression under this government.
Yeah. But before Councillor Joel comes in your regular man understanding, what are they accusing Prophet Key of?
Okay, my understanding, again, I'm just a lay person, like you said, and I'm not too abreast with the matter at hand. But what I understood is that Prophet Key made some salacious accusation against the Chief Justice in terms of him being corrupt, and I guess he said some things about his mother that really ticked off the Chief Justice, and he demanded that Prophet Key present evidence to his claim, to buttress the claims that he was making. And if he doesn't do that, he will hold him in contempt. And I guess the deadline that the Chief Justice said Prophet Key didn't present those evidence, and as such he held him in contempt and imprisoned him for a period of 6 months, which is my rudimentary understanding of the case. Maybe the lawyers can give us more details, but that's how I understand it. And for me, looking at it from the outside, I think that's a gross abuse of power. You don't do that. You don't do that, especially. Yeah, go ahead.
And let me welcome Attorney at law, Colonel Freeman. Welcome, Attorney Freeman.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dennis. This is really an interesting show, and I'm happy to be here because we have to separate the emotion from the law. And I think a lot of times that doesn't happen in Liberia. Even I find some lawyers being very much emotional, but I'm here to see how we separate the emotion from the law.
Thank you. Evans, I still want to go to you because I want two of us to be asking the lawyers tonight. Right? So let me get on a layman perspective. The brothers say when the man even come from jail, he should never curse anybody again.
Right.
And look, how you think of that? Let's say if Prophet Key come from jail, even when he walking in the community, he can't even curse a friend. Or what does it mean to you?
I mean, the lawyers will answer that. I don't know the penal law of Liberia, but I'm saying, let me
read it. They say clearly indicating that he would never use invectives and vulgar languages, profanity, or outright abuse of any Liberian. They say from today you will never curse anybody again.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to understand. If abusing someone, cussing someone is a crime. If you're in a community and you cuss somebody, your friend, man, let's say you cuss the person mom, can that person then call the police and have you arrested for cussing their mom? That's what I want to understand.
Thank you.
So if that law doesn't apply to the common man, why should it apply to the Chief Justice? That's what I want to understand.
Thank you. Councillor Joel, welcome. Yeah, your camera is still off. So talk. Just turn the camera off. Turn your computer on. The phone is all right. I know you, so I will. Is it okay? Yeah, let's use the phone. Yeah, I'm using the phone. Is it okay? Oh, yeah, the phone is okay. Yeah, were you asking me any question? Yeah, so my question is, just give us a synopsis of what you know about the Prophet Key case before set the stage for us.
You know, I'm getting feedback.
Oh, because you on the phone and the computer as well.
Maybe I should leave the computer.
Yeah, just leave the computer.
You know, I was saying. Let me see. It's still
just
a problem.
Just leave the computer at all. Turn the computer off. Let's use the phone.
Yeah, I'm out from the computer. I'm in a different room.
Yeah, oh, but all right. So I will kick you out of the studio. So
am I okay now?
Yeah, you okay?
Okay, I'm still hearing myself.
Yeah, because the computer is still on.
Okay.
Just close the computer.
Yeah, I got several computers in my office, so.
All right.
Unless I go over to my vehicle.
All right. No, just go ahead.
No, just have him mute the computer. Mute the mic on the computer.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
You know, this is a very, very interesting case. It is interesting in several ways. First thing, as a lawyer, I'm surprised and I'm confused that after an accused is found guilty for contempt by the Supreme Court, the court will order that person file reform for perpetuity. The case, apparently, it is a conflict between the Chief Justice and Prophet Key. It matter that might have happened outside of the confines of the courtroom. And so I guess the Chief Justice ordered the clerk of court to send a citation to Prophet Key to appear and show cause why he should not be held in contempt. And then the court, from my understanding, appointed former Justice Michael Wicken Wright, and two other lawyers to be the lawyers to prosecute the contempt proceeding before the Supreme Court. And I think the Supreme Court also went ahead and designated the Office of the Public Defender to provide one or two lawyers to represent Prophet Key. In the process, I think the lawyer representing Prophet Key asked for an extension of time to be able to defend his client before the Supreme Court. And I guess the court granted the time and then rescheduled the matter. And on today's day, we are hearing that the Supreme Court, after argument, decided to hold Prophet Key in contempt and sentence him to jail for 6 months, with all of the other preliminaries or preconditions added before he released. He should publish in reputable, I think five or two reputable newspapers to say that he's sorry, as well as file a bond, a behavioral bond. I never heard that before though. A behavioral bond to indicate that he will never use language that is not professional or that is insulting. You know, this matter reminds me, and this is my confusion because the Supreme Court is the final court of the land, that parties go before the court by way of either where the court has original jurisdiction or by way of an appeal. In this case, it is a contempt proceeding that the court decided to hold Prophet Key to answer to. And while you were reading the final page judgment, I saw Chief Justice Bessa sign also the opinion. Apparently, all of them signed. Chief Justice Bessa, Associate Justice Kaba, Associate Justice Wolokoli, Associate Justice Kana, Justice Sienna Clinton Johnson signed. So this is a process that is very bad for Nigeria. In my mind, this will cause Liberia to suffer as a result of what the court has done. It means that even just standing beside one of the justices near a temple of justice, or just I do not support Prophet Key insulting anyone or insulting the Chief Justice's mother or the Chief Justice himself or anybody else. But anyone who felt offended, like in the case of Mr. Justice Wissa, the proper way to proceed was to file a petition before the civil law court, actual damages for wrong or actual damages for information character. Contempt proceeding occur when the court is offended. How did the other 4 justices get to be offended by an insult that Prophet Key is alleged to have waged against the Chief Justice and his mother? This was a matter between the Chief Justice and the mother and Prophet Key. And so it is struck that the proceeding in the way it went, and I thought none of the Liberian lawyers that represented him did not do well. I thought they were all there to save face and keep relationship with the Supreme Court. With respect to the court, but also clear that law must take its course because the Chief Justice, Associate Justices should not be grabbing people from off the street and bringing out contempt proceeding against them. This is not the first time the Supreme Court has acted this way. I know when her honored Associate Justice Sienna Yo was Associate Justice, the same thing happened with a common security man at Ralphie that refused to allow her to use the bathroom that President Salif had said only the President, the Vice President, and Chief Justice should use. Chief Justice Kokor sat on the case and all held that poor man in contempt and sent him to jail for, 6 months also. So this is troubling. This is not justice. This is, to me, an injustice proceeding.
Thank you. Anthony Freeman.
Okay, so let me just say, to start out with, I agree with virtually everything the senior counselor just said, and I will probably add some more. I want to start with legal malpractice by the lawyer that was assigned to Prophet Key. When they appoint you as a lawyer, if you don't want to handle the person's case, tell the person no. But don't take the case and do nothing to help the person. As a lawyer, your job, even if they assign you to a serial killer or a serial murderer, your job is to look at the facts and circumstances and find the law to help the client. You can't just leave the client and say, well, just go tell them that you are liable or you are guilty and you're sorry, when there are so many laws in his favor that they could have advocated. This is legal malpractice. This is not what we are taught in school. This is not what the profession advocates for. If you don't want to be part of the case, say, I don't want to be part. But don't take a case and then abandon the person halfway. So I think that they didn't do a good job. The other thing I want to add, if what Prophet Key said is under our penal code as a crime, then it's the Ministry of Justice that's supposed to initiate the proceedings, not the Chief Justice. If what he said was defamatory, then, like the counselor said, that case should start in the civil law court. But by starting a case in the Supreme Court and ending a case in the Supreme Court, you deny his right to trial, you deny his right to appeal, because the Supreme Court does not take evidence. So how was he supposed to adduce the evidence in court? How was he supposed to call witnesses? How was those witnesses supposed to be cross-examined under Article 20? So we have a problem. And what I feel like a lot of people think that the law was intended for good people, for nice people. No. The law was intended for good people, nice people, rich people, poor, ugly, even rude people. I personally have not listened to Prophet Key in more than 5 years. I haven't had reason to listen to him because I find his program mostly offensive. But I'm surprised that even the Chief Justice is listening to Prophet Key, which I find very ludicrous, you know? Why is he listening to Prophet Key program? I mean, I personally, yeah, I'm the lowest possible lawyer you can find. I don't even listen to his program. So he could have proceeded by way of Ministry of Justice. They would have charged him for criminal offense, and the matter would have gone to the Supreme Court, in which the Chief Justice would not preside. He would have gone to the Civil Law Court, and then it would have proceeded to the Supreme Court, which he would not preside. He did none of that. Now, what stopped the legislature from also having contempt proceeding at the national legislature, and when people call them corrupt, for jailing them? What stopped them? Nothing. You know, what stops Mr. Bwaka from having the Justice Ministry file charges against anybody who says something that he doesn't like politically? So this is a very bad precedent. I don't think it will last, because when you really stretch it to the logical conclusion, anybody any day can be arrested now for saying something that the people in authority do not like.
Of course. You know, let me just add, this is what is referred to as ineffective assistance of counsel. The lawyers that represent Prophet Key need to be disbarred.
What?
They show
and this is full disclosure. My cousin Joseph Devlin was I don't know which side he was on, but I saw his name. He's a poor man lawyer. So
you know, the lawyers in Liberia, the lawyers tend to be so afraid of the Supreme Court that even the rights of the client can be trampled upon as but done in the case of Prophet Key. In this matter, the lawyers that represented Prophet Key should have filed a motion to ask the Supreme Court to dismiss its contempt proceeding because it has no jurisdiction. This is a private matter between Chief Justice Bishop and Prophet Key.
Okay, Councillor Jewel, stop there. Let me read something from Councillor Tiawan Gonglo, because this is what they're saying, and it's my position as a drafter of Liberia's free speech law, while it known as the Camara law, and as an ardent defender of constitutional freedom, is guided strictly by the rule of law. Yeah, I'm reading this because Councillor Gonglo is a highly respected lawyer. He agrees with the Supreme Court. This is what he said. In light of the Supreme Court's ruling regarding the recent vulgar remarks directed at the Chief Justice and Associate Justices, my view is anchored in Section 17.3 of the Liberian Penal Code, which addresses criminal malevolence and conduct that undermines public order and the administration of justice. Respect for the judicial is not optional. It is foundational to constitutional governance and the preservation of the rule of law. While freedom of expression is fully protected under our constitution and statutes, it does not extend to speech that threatens, degrades, or unlawfully impugns the integrity of the courts or obstruct the administration of justice. The authority of the Supreme Court must be upheld. In a constitutional democracy, all citizens, regardless of influence, position, or platform, remain subject to the law, and the dignity of our judicial institution must be preserved for the stability and continuity. That is Councillor Gonglo.
Let me address Councillor Gonglo's statement. First thing, I think Councillor Gonglo needs to practice law and get out from making political statements. Councillor Gonglo cited for you a statute in the Penal Code, which clearly says then that the Chief Justice should ask the Minister of Justice to indict Prophet Key. If Prophet Key committed a crime, as Councillor Gonglo just stated the statute he cited, It exposes him because the statute itself talks about criminal proceedings, not a contempt of court. Again, you will find this is what the Supreme Court lawyers who appear before the Supreme Court, this is how they behave. The case I cited for you at the RIA, there were I think 5 lawyers appointed to represent the post security guard. One of those lawyers was Councilor Emmanuel James, who went, and he was a lead lawyer in the case, who went and literally almost fell before the Supreme Court to say, we are sorry. No defense. This security guy was told by his boss, the overall security director at the Ralphie, that the president said only the president, the vice president, and the chief justice must use this bathroom. So you are Associate Justice Madam, you cannot use the bathroom. They cited him. The Supreme Court cited him. The Supreme Court, after the lawyer did not represent him the way they should have represented him, the Supreme Court sentenced this young man, this person, to jail for about 6 months. The same thing. How would anyone want to do business in Liberia when the Supreme Court would grab somebody off the street, his honor, who complained, sat down as a plaintiff and the judge?
Thank you.
He signed the judgment.
Yeah.
Liberia is in trouble. I can say it from what I see. If this is what the law is, anyone who feels aggrieved and is a government official can grab you off the street and take you. They used to do that. Liberian ministers used to do that. If you went to the bar and exchange word with a minister, the next day the police will come and take you to the police station and you go to the central prison. Even on some cases, in instances, sometimes rate of arrest are never issued. That's why people, detainees, are packing in the court, are packing in the prison. How will anybody address any lawyer who represents anybody before the Supreme Court? Are you not going to be afraid that they'll hold you in contempt and throw you in jail for 6 months?
Let me hear from Councillor Attorney Freeman. What do you say? Because that's the same logic the Supreme Court used, that, hey, you cost all of us. You are obstructing our work. You bring our character, because this is in a case, if you cost everybody on the bench, you're making it look bad. So people will not trust the court system because you make us small. And I'm paraphrasing. Attorney Freeman.
Yeah, I think that could be true. That if you insult the judges and the entire Supreme Court, that is true. But we are discussing process here. What is the starting point? If he committed a crime, then the starting point is that the Ministry of Justice will file charges.
Correct.
If he had a personal wrong against you, then the starting point is the civil law court in an action for damages, in an action for defamation, for slander or libel. The starting point cannot be the Supreme Court. I mean, let's just forget about being lawyer. How can you start a case of that nature at the Supreme Court? How are you going to take the evidence? So it's a lot of problems. Like I said, especially with the effective assistance of counsel. For example, they called the man today and said, look, we want you to present your case. The man said, I don't have a lawyer. They say, okay, here is lawyer, come back tomorrow. Under no circumstance can you go to a court in Supreme Court and have maybe 24 hours or 48 hours to prepare. That is the highest court in the land. Minimum, you might need 2 to 3 weeks. Maximum, you could need 2 to 3 months to prepare to go to the Supreme Court. So to tell him, yeah, is a lawyer, come back tomorrow, come back day after tomorrow to plead your case, it's like not giving him counsel, because we've done a law, we call effective assistance of a counsel. It's not just have a lawyer. You have to have an effective lawyer. And the lawyer cannot be effective if you are giving him 24 hours to file his brief. So there are just too many troubling things with that. And the legislature is watching, because that's one of the groups that will always insult. So they are watching. So if the Supreme Court is holding people in contempt and jailing people, don't be surprised the legislator might start to hold people in contempt and start jailing them. And very much we'll soon be back to 1980 or 1970.
Evan, let me bring you in here. So, Evan, why the case so important that, I mean, you can't even turn around and say, let somebody come in, you know, that the whole country is about to burn. So, in fact, instead of like Anthony Freeman said, instead of saying prepare, they say, yeah, lawyer, yeah. Give me one poor man lawyer, come tomorrow.
Yes.
Look, Mr. John, if America wasn't in the condition it is in right now, I would say I would go up by America, you know, with hold the government in some, you know, respect to what they're doing with the judiciary. But I think, like the lawyers are saying, this is a civil matter. The first thing the Supreme Court justice should have done, the Chief Justice should have done, was write a letter for Key to cease and desist from this behavior. You know, as a warning. That's what most people do, even celebrities. They will send you a letter to cease and desist from your slanderous, you know, utterances. And if you don't do it, then they take the next step and they use that as evidence that they first warned you to stop doing what you were doing and you didn't listen.
But
so
it was not the chief, according to the verdict, right? They said all the other people you've been cussing, all the women you've been cussing.
Come on, Mr. John. I mean, come on, seriously? Did it? You know, again, this is the Supreme Court usually deals with, you know, with criminal matters. I'm sure it also deals with civil matters, but civil matters is not illegal. If a person gets found, you know, guilty civilly, usually they pay a fine, they pay a fee. They might have to pay restitution, but usually it doesn't go on your record as a criminal, conviction. So I think Prophet Key also needs to abreast himself with some of the laws of the country. If you want to be a talker or a speaker, get a lawyer that will advise you on certain things you can say, and maybe stay away from slanderous things. If you have evidence of some form of corruption, you can always go into discovery and present your evidence. And, you know, and most people don't like to go into discovery, but other things can be discovered, right? So Prophet Key, you know, I want him to speak, maybe turn down the cuss words. But people like that is necessary in our country, in this very country we live in. Even hate speech is permitted in the United States of America. If somebody a white person come up and you start calling you the N-word over and over, you can't call the police to arrest that person because you don't like their language. You know, if a person comes start calling you an a-hole and causing your whole entire generation, you yourself will be ridiculous to call the police and say the person insulted me, I want you to arrest him. Doesn't work like that, you know? So in Liberia, why should we think that if the law doesn't, you know, is there laws that's special for government officials? That's what I want to understand. That if you insult a government official is more serious than when you insult your friend in your community. That's what I want to understand. Because does the Constitution say that these people are above reproach? They're above insult. You can't insult them. No, you know, insulting them is tangible to a crime. That's what I want to understand.
Thank you. I'll bring you the lawyer so you can understand that. But the first question I will ask is, even what is insult? When you say your behavior or when you cause the other one, which one? But listen to this, Anthony Freeman said that the contempt having over the years engaged in invectives, vulgar languages, profanity, and outright abuse against prominent Liberians. It's not just Liberians, prominent Liberians, especially women. And how, I mean, tell me.
Well, that is, hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, boy.
So, I can hear you. So, the prominent Liberians, women, are they in different categories when it comes to citizenship? If they were not prominent, if they were not women, could you cause them and it's legal? Oh.
So what the decision is so flawed. The Supreme Court is not in the business of looking for cases from outside. It doesn't go from place to place.
Hello?
You call somebody here in Soniwan will come after you. You call somebody in Nima County will come after you. The Supreme Court deals with matter that is directly before the court. The matter has to be genuine for the court to decide. The fact has to relate to the law. So where's the court coming from talking about? For years, you've been causing people. So the court been watching his show to listen to who he calls and who he doesn't cause. Beyond that, the court is asking him to post a bond I never heard where there is a trial in our court system where the matter ends, the defendant is sentenced to jail, the defendant is released, the defendant is mandated to post a bond. So when the defendant breaches the contract under the bond, who recovers? The Supreme Court justices? So
I got a question for you, Councilor Joe, if I can permit me quickly. I'm no lawyer. I only watch TV. But would that be something like the swords of Damocles, or like what they can use to hang something over your head? Is that something similar to it?
I think after Prophet Key comes from jail, he will carry moth bracelet instead of ankle bracelet. So you call.
I'm saying, is that illegal to hang or quote unquote swords of Damocles over somebody's head, where their freedom is now being infringed by the ruling if they're not following?
No, I think the Supreme Court want all of us to return to Sasewu. I think Sasewu would be a better way than the law, because where the defendant have been, let's say Prophet Key is found guilty for contempt. He's sentenced to jail for 6 months. That's his punishment. Before he comes out, he's supposed to bond. If he breaches the condition of that bond, who benefits? The Supreme Court? Are they going, let's say it's 200,000. Are they going to share the money when Prophet Key get on the show tomorrow and cost us somebody money? This is not a matter that is light. Lawyers who are weighing in, I'm sorry that my colleague Congo will weigh in and start criminal law. When once you decide the criminal proceeding, the defendant is entitled to his right, meaning that due process of law must take its course. He must be arrested, charged for committing a crime, allegedly. He must be allowed to file a bond. He must be represented by lawyers who will provide him with expert services, not beggars.
Because in jail, what criminal law would he have broken by his utterance? Criminal, not civil, but criminal law.
The section, I think 10.12. I need to look at the penal code where you insult.
This is what Councillor Gonglo quoted, 17.3, disorderly conduct.
He's wrong. If he quoted that law, then what you are saying is that the Chief Justice should have written his complaint to the Minister of Justice, and the Minister of Justice should have found reason to take Prophet Key to the Magistrate Court on a charge. And Prophet Key will be given, due process will begin then. He's arrested on the charge. And then he'll be allowed to post a bond. And then he will be represented by reputable lawyers who are expert in the area, sufficient enough to defend him. Every step along the way, he has to be represented by counsel. So Gongo is citing a criminal law in the contempt proceeding. He doesn't know which law applies.
Thank you.
That law itself, it pulls you back to the fact that, hey, the defendant is charged with this type of crime you're talking about. Then the defendant must be allowed to post a bill.
Thank you, Councillor. Here what Councillor Gonglo is saying, Anthony Freeman, I want you to look at it. He said, in light of the Supreme Court ruling, my view is anchored in section 17.3 of the Liberal Penal Code. So I pull that up. It says disorderly conduct, 1, offense. A person is guilty of disorderly conduct if, with intent to cause public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, or recklessly creating a risk thereof, he engages in fighting or threatening or in violent or tumultuous behavior, or he makes unreasonable noise or offensively coarse utterance, gesture, or display, or addresses abusive language to any person present, or creates hazardous or physically offensive condition by any.
Dennis, you don't need to read the whole thing. The bottom line is, when you commit a crime, where does that case start? Where does it start when you commit a crime in the Republic of Liberia?
Maybe in the Supreme Court, Mr. Justice.
I mean, it has to start with maybe police station, maybe the Justice Ministry filed criminal charges. It can start in the Supreme Court because there must be an appellate jurisdiction. Because the right to appeal is enshrined in the Constitution. So it can start in the Supreme Court. And if you're not going by way of criminal law, then you must start in the civil law court. So even if you go by civil law through damages, it still can start in the Supreme Court. And so this is just
what can start in the Supreme Court now? Nothing?
No, let's start with contempt.
Okay.
If a matter is pending before the court,
okay,
and you do something to disrupt the proceedings or undermine the court process, they can hold you on contempt. If the court makes a decision and they are trying to enforce that decision, and you do something to undermine that decision, they can also hold you. If court officers are carrying on their operation and you do something to thwart the process, yes. But if you're sitting there in your kobo shop and you cost the Chief Justice mind, and it has nothing to do with the court proceeding, it can start with contempt in the Supreme Court. It got to start as a civil action.
What if President Prophet Key caused the entire bench? Could that be contempt?
I don't even think so. No. Because it must be tied to something that is ongoing in the court or emanating from the court. And just look at it in a continuum. It either something going to the court, at the court, coming from the court. But it must be tied to something happening at the court. Okay? But you can't just use contempt, because contempt is a heavy government power. So if people in the kobo shop somewhere there and they insult the Chief Justice, right? Or let's say they insult 2 or 3 of the justices, and it has nothing to do with a case going to court, at the court, coming from the court. Then what next? And so you can just start in the Supreme Court. And they have in the Constitution there are instances where the Supreme Court have original jurisdiction. But this case will require facts taking of evidence, because the man is saying he alleged corruption, he alleged other conduct that are like illegal. So you have to take evidence, you have to bring witnesses. Anything of that nature can start at the Supreme Court.
What?
Because illegality is a legal conclusion that has to be adjudicated. So you can't just jump on and say somebody did something illegal without going through the legal process to be found that it was illegal in the first place.
Councillor Jewel, let me ask a question that somebody asked. He said, the president said, you want to tell me all the judges, the Supreme Court, the associate justices, all of them don't know this thing you're talking? They don't want to know it? I mean, how is it possible?
Oh, no. The justices, can I answer?
Yeah.
All of the justices, I know all of them. These are practicing lawyers before they are sent to the bench. They are using power and not the law. They are using power. They're saying to the public, I dare you to say something against any of us. We will hold you in contempt. You'll go to jail for 6 months. That's what they are doing. And then we'll tell you, say, when you come outside, you have to post a bond. And you will name us as a second insured. Meaning that when you breach that bond, the cash benefit thereof will reap the benefit. There is no law that allows them to say that when a defendant comes from jail, he should post a bond so that it can be washing all his shoulders. But even be as it may, is this a contempt proceeding? Is this a contempt where Prophet Key is alleged to have insulted the Chief Justice and his mother? Is that a matter for contempt? How does it relate to the court authority? It doesn't. How does it obstruct the enforcement of the Supreme Court judgment? It doesn't. How is the Supreme Court ridiculed as a result of what he said? It doesn't. So we are running into trouble. We're sitting there and looking at Chief Justice going on the street and grabbing somebody. Tomorrow, they will all follow the news that in 70 seconds, the people who've been living at that military barrack for some time, the military went there with arms to evict them without court proceedings. Liberia is becoming a virtually lawless country.
The president said God is not making new land.
And Dennis, let me ask you now. So, what happens if people who call on the talk show insult Richard Kuhn? What happens? Can he also call them at the legislature and have a proceeding and find them liable for legislative contempt and also jail them? Can that happen?
Council, you go to Liberia, you insult Richard Kuhn while we're talking now. You go to Liberia, Richard Kuhn will grab you and put you in jail also because he will hold you in contempt.
So it's a slippery slope. It's a very slippery slope. And I think when the Chief Justice is starting, first thing, I don't want to believe it will last long because it lacks legal coherence, it lacks logic, it lacks constitutional backing. So I don't want to think it will last. But if it lasts, I can see us degenerating into 1960 or 1970, where people can just grab you from your house without any question.
But my question to you, Councilor Attorney Freeman, who's going to tell the final arbiter of the law that they were wrong in their interpretation? Who's going to tell them to backtrack? The executive?
No, come again with the question.
Yes.
Who's going to tell the final arbiter, the Supreme Court of our laws, that they were wrong in the interpretation of the articles that they cited in their judgment? Who's going to hold them, their feet to the fire?
That is a problem. The only other thing, assuming if the people who they appointed as amicus curiae, they could file a petition for re-argument. But first thing they did at this service, because as you can see, there were a lot of legal points in favor of Prophet Key, but the lawyers who were appointed decided that they would not argue any point whatsoever. They would just tell him to go and apologize. So if this is the only way now is a petition for re-argument, okay? If they choose that route, but I don't see the lawyers doing that, because if they wanted to do that, they will have at least put 2 or 3 constitutional arguments before the court. I mean, nothing wrong with apologizing, but first argue your legal points. If you fail in your legal points, when time for punishment, then you can say sorry and hope for leniency. But you can't go to the court and you put no point at all. You just tell the client, say, man, just go and tell the people sorry. I mean, I'm so discouraged at what they did. And because of their failure, somebody is going to go to jail for 6 months. And it's just way too much. We're not talking about 72 hours. We're not talking about 1 week. We're talking about 6 months. Even some crimes you commit, you don't even go to jail for 6 months. Much like to talk about something that doesn't constitute a crime.
That was my next question, really. How was this punishment determined?
Is it arbitrary way? Because they say arbitrary because if you look in the Constitution, I don't think the Constitution prescribed a specific punishment. It was already done by way of statute. But we have not yet done a statute to define the stages or the level of punishment. So the court has been generally improvising. But I have not seen a case of 6 months in jail for contempt before. This is new.
No. Councilor General was just saying that's at the airport. So maybe this is the president that they're using to send him to jail for also another 6 months, because the security guard was sent to jail for 6 months for refusing the justice at the time to use a restroom. So maybe they're using this to set an example again.
It was that case. Did they hand down a ruling in that case?
Oh yeah, again, when the facts are different, but when the same way as this Prophet Key case went, Mr. Councilor Emmanuel James appeared before the court and literally almost lied down before the court to say, Your Honors, my client and myself, we are very sorry. We should have opened, and then he added, in spite of the instruction and security man received, he should have opened up the bathroom to be used by Honor Justice Yo. This was an oversight. Mind you, this decision was not made by the security man at the airport. He was instructed by the shift commander to say, this is what they call it pass on. This is the pass on you receive from the guy who you're taking off from do not allow anybody to go into the bathroom except the president, the vice president, or the chief justice. But you asking, how did they even arrive at 60 days? 6 months. Contempt proceeding before the Supreme Court, unless while it is discretionary, it cannot be half of a year. 30 days is the requirement. So, but was this a contempt proceeding? Or was this a matter where the chief justice felt insulted and said, I will tell my friend that we're going to sit down on the Supreme Court bench, we will hold you in contempt and we'll send you to jail.
That's what I see.
My question is, what constitutes insult? What constitutes profanity? How do we know?
But then we have a penal law, right? We have a penal law. It says all the crime, it gives every one of them number. So
does it name the words that are vulgar, that are considered vulgar? Like the F word, the S word, the B word, did they name those words?
No. I don't know. Let me open it and see. Let me open the penal law and see. But I don't see. The closest was what Councillor Gongolo cited. I don't see anything. The closest was what Councillor Gongolo cited. But even if it were crime, it doesn't start at the Supreme Court. Let's just establish that. Even if a crime was committed, it has to be Ministry of Justice and the police. It can start at the Supreme Court. So I mean, you can use that.
How can Supreme Court put in their judgment, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you cause prominent Liberian, you cause women, you cause now the mother of the Chief Justice,
and they are not party to the suit.
And
that's why I wanted to say, Mr. Jack,
go to the Supreme Court, they say, how are you injured? How
right?
Justice basically injured because of the mother. Why can't the mother sue?
Right. And I wanted to say this, right?
Hold on, Elvis or Councillor J was saying something.
Okay, so we got something called offenses against public morality. I don't know whether that is one of the things, but that's a chapter 18 and chapter 17. Chapter 17 is offenses against public order. So, but they got this other conduct, false alarm, drunkenness, and loitering, those kinds of things, But
if somebody causes your mother, you're not the man. So why you talking? Because this is law, right?
Yeah.
Councillor J.
When people are abusing power, they don't have the time now to think about all those things.
Yeah.
They just go ahead, they abuse their power, and then the repercussions follow.
Also, the lawyers are represented I would have, in the first place, moved to have Mr. Chief Justice Bessett to recuse himself.
To recuse himself.
Recuse himself, not to participate. And then, if that was done, the second thing I would have filed a motion to say the court lacked jurisdiction. This is not the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. This is not the appellate jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. This is a matter that grows out of some factual situation. So the matter belongs to start with the civil law court if you wish to start there. Or the Chief Justice should decide to file a criminal complaint with the Ministry of Justice and let it be investigated, and they will decide whether they want to indict Prophet Key or not. But this is pure power. This is pure and raw power. You talk to us, will jail you.
And what happened to the allegation of corruption against the Chief Justice?
Maybe that was contained.
Well, they will tell you that the Supreme Court, when they are filing a ruling, they can choose what they want to say in the ruling. So they have a right to not address. But that's why it was important for the case to go to the civil law court. Because it is at that court that if Prophet Key had a witness, if he has some kind of paper that they show him, that is the place where those information will have been brought to court. But they deny him of a right to go to that process. And they brought him to the Supreme Court where you don't take evidence. So what kind of factual thing was he supposed to exhibit when they don't take evidence at the Supreme Court? So, I mean, it's just a travesty of justice. But I see a lot of lawyers celebrating. And I feel sorry for them, because if you're in the legal profession, one day you might say something that will annoy the court or annoy a judge. And obviously, they're going to drag you using this precedent that the Supreme Court has set.
Let me say something quickly. Look, I think what the justice said in his ruling is like they're trying to avenge all of the current that Prophet Key costs everybody. And in their mind, they have public support. Because Prophet Key has been a pariah in the society, So the thing, what they're doing is avenging everybody that he is offended, and that's said in that ruling that we've been causing women, we've been causing prominent people, so nobody could do anything to him by law. So we have to take charge and avenge these people because they were offended by Prophet Key, which I think is there's no legal basis for it.
But I'm not a lawyer, but how will you bring different things in the case?
That's why I said so you read it.
Over the years. So if I caused people 2 years ago,
Right.
it's part of today's case, so why you bring
Right.
it?
Why you bringing it in?
That's why I'm saying that Sase Wood abroad will return to Sase Wood. This is better than the legal proceeding because, believe me, any associate justice. Another case I remember is that what he named the late Justice Nangwe was going to New Kutan when Randy's here were coming from New Kutan. They had this when the traffic is jammed, the justices or the government officials jump on the opposite lane. That Justice Nangwe then jumped on the left lane where Randy's here were driving coming to town. And then when Justice Nangwe reached to his, I think he was coming to the Supreme Court. By the time he reached to the court, guess what? He started running here in order to come for contempt.
Oh.
And when they appeared, the lawyers who represented them at the time, the late Justice Nangwe put on one old law from under his table. He said they honor the Labrador traffic law. When you see Chief Justice, Associate Justices coming, you must join one side.
Amen.
So again, they had to beg Justice Nangwe to not advance the matter to the Supreme Court because they were held running here in contempt the whole bench. Are they above the law, or do they wish to follow the rule of law?
Let me read some comments here. Judicial Prophet Key needed to be stopped. It was long overdue. I think that's the public sentiment. Can the Supreme Court, who can this person said legislature can impeach them. Can Justice Bishop be, I'm afraid of contempt too, can he be impeached because of this? Can impeachment proceeding be brought against him for abuse of power?
Maybe one of the representatives from Nehemiah Garley from Prophet Key doesn't need to bring an impeachment proceeding against him. Look, when you violate a law knowingly, there is no excuse. You can't say because Prophet Key insulted us, so we will violate the law. We just bring him and treat him any way we feel like treating him. I don't know Prophet Key. I'm not listening to his show because I don't have interest in what he talks, what he says. The problem is
the Chief Justice can watch it, and you can watch it.
Yeah, I was shocked that the Chief Justice can listen to Prophet Key's show. I was shocked.
You listen to Prophet Key show. Look, if President Bouaka does not do something, does not call a conference, perhaps a conference with the judiciary to be able to see that this matter is addressed. The longer Prophet Key stay in jail, the worse it will become for Liberia because our partner will say you have no rule of law, the justices are lawless.
And that is a basis, and that is a basis for the common people. You remember this girl who throat was almost cut off?
Yeah.
Yes.
The guy walked free.
Yes.
There was another case of $100 million drug bust. Those people walked free. So the ordinary people have serious suspicion about the court. Even though we as lawyers, we are trained to respect the court, to bow down to judges, but they have reason to be suspicious of the court because they have seen justice being thwarted in cases that is clear-cut. So people like Prophet Key, they appeal to the common people and all that kind of thing because they avoid all that formality and just say the thing raw and stuff like that. And now, if the court is going to correct it, the court got to tread carefully and use the principles of the rule of law. It cannot go and start behaving in the same manner that Prophet Key is behaving. Because if you look at this ruling, Genesis, I mean, you're not a lawyer, but you can see some of the reasoning the court put in the ruling is very difficult. to comprehend, and it's not even useful for future reference.
No.
Because now this is supposed to be a precedent, but they have not even taken the time to flesh out the legal issues. I expected at least a 10-page ruling to flesh out the legal issues so that for posterity, when we need to refer to the case, we have sufficient legal reasoning how they arrive at the ruling. They just put all kinds of mumbo jumbo thing there, and now they're telling you he been causing women for a long time, and and he caused the Chief Justice murder. Well, she now a party to the suit.
I have a question here, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with the Julie Andy case, why was that case stopped? What was the legal reasoning behind the case not going forward? Or was it adjudicated and prosecuted for non-liable?
No, it didn't go to court. So that's the same question Anthony is asking. Why was he free in the Julie Andy case? The case didn't. Bushi Ben Keita advised the president to throw it out.
No, but that was a problem because let's start first thing when a case come like that, you have to distinguish whether it was criminal or civil. If there was a criminal case, then it was a decision to be made either by the police or the Ministry of Justice, or either both of them combined. If Julie Andy didn't want to handle it as a criminal case, then Julie Andy now herself needed to take a lawyer and go to the civil law court. So the fact that she went to the government and the government decided not to prosecute the case does not stop Julie Andy from going by way of civil law, hiring a lawyer and pursuing the case to civil law court. So I don't think it was the case of the government stopping her. Maybe she wanted to go by way of criminal law and the Justice Ministry were not interested in pursuing the matter, and she didn't want to spend her own money, maybe to hire her own lawyer to go by way of civil law. So that's how she left the case. I don't know the details, but
I think that's what it was. She was petitioning the government to go after Pepeki on her behalf.
And that means she's going by way of criminal law.
Right. So she should have filed for civil law and sue for damages.
Fine. She could have, now she had made a lot of money since she been ambassador since Amos Sawyer time. She could have hired some lawyers and they would have gone to court on a civil litigation for damages, maybe for libel or defamation, whatever. She could have gone that route. So the fact that the government didn't pursue her case, it doesn't really mean that she could not have pursued her case.
I think what happened was that she went to the magistrate court and spoke to the judge, and the judge ordered a writ of arrest to be issued. So before contacting the city solicitors or the government lawyers in the magistrate court, so then that gave room to the Ministry of Justice and the government lawyers to say that, hey, we were now involved in starting the complaint at all. Mind you, in all criminal cases, the Republic of Liberia is the plaintiff, not the private prosecutor, not the person who said that she is injured or he is injured. So you could be injured, you could have a complaint, but you have to have the government lawyer. If you want to go by way of criminal proceedings, then you have to have a government lawyer to represent your interest. If not, if the facts are strong enough, you can go by civil proceeding at the civil law court. File action of damages for wrong, libel, defamation of character, or anything else you think that you can file. That way, government will not have a way to say, well, we're not represent you. The other thing that people people understand is that in criminal proceeding, it's the government that will decide whether they want to prosecute. The state can refuse to prosecute without giving any reason, which is different in a civil proceeding. When you get a private lawyer, the facts are strong enough, the laws are on your side, you can then file for damages. And that could be a better way to go than try to follow the government lawyers to do anything for you.
Question here. Can the government, now the executive, refuse to imprison Prophet Key? And to add to that, or can President Bouakai grant him clemency tomorrow?
I think that's the only route left for them.
And I think that what will end up happening, really, I think they will have a conference.
I think that's the only route left for them. The second one.
Yeah, and based on national interest,
they can either commute the sentence or they can grant a clemency. But I think it's still too early for that, you know. But I think the public out there should be concerned. You know, the guy, the power, they say time trap not for ride alone. I am not a fan of Prophet Key. I have not listened to Prophet Key show in more than 5 years. I just can't stand the way he does his insulting and all of that.
And
But
they call it keyism. Keyism.
yeah, but this is not about Prophet Key. This is about somebody getting on Facebook and insulting Mr. Bwaka, for example, or insulting maybe a judge in Bon County. And the judge said, oh, but we already got a precedent that if you get on Facebook and you insult the judge or you say something negative about the judge, I don't need to start a civil action against you. I can just call you to my court for contempt and tell you to explain yourself. If you don't explain yourself, I can lock you up. So I see a lot of people rejoicing because Konfreki is almost like a serial killer in Liberia or something like that. He's a hater figure.
That depends on who's in power.
Fine, but disregard the fact that Prophet Key is a hater figure. Every single person who is active politically on social media stands the risk of being arrested for something that you may not have felt it was insulting, but the person who is receiving the comment could think that it's insulting and they could cite you for contempt. And it could just be a kangaroo process, like what happened at the Supreme Court, where they say, okay, you don't have lawyer. In fact, let lawyer, you go outside, let your lawyer talk to you and you can read back. And
some also planning to go to Liberia soon. We got to curb our behavior because now we start talking prison against the government and make catch us right, robber free when we get there.
Now, this is the Supreme Court ruling, so it has become law, right?
Yeah.
So how? What is so interpret or just paraphrase this law for me now?
This is what I'm saying. Every single person who is active in the social media space, or let's call on talk show, because you know sometimes people get on the talk show, they have an outburst. And you know that judge, he's a foolish judge. He did this, he did that. Obviously, the judge can send to the radio station for the recording and say, who is this person? And then send to the person to his court and say, I'm having a contempt proceeding, and why shouldn't I hold you in contempt? And the judge can use this decision by the Supreme Court to jail another person. So people should not be happy because it is a Prophet Key and people don't like him.
That's judges, right? Can President Bwaka use this now when Yeke Koluba, for example, insult President Bwaka?
Oh yes. He can use it in a court process, but he can, based on that ruling, he can have the Justice Ministry go after him, banking on the fact that when they go to the court will use the ruling that they have just given out as a basis for locking people up. So Yeke Koluba also is likely to be in trouble because he has the same Prophet Key style of politicking, you know, which is not necessarily good. But look, the thing about freedom is that it includes the freedom to say offensive things. If the freedom were only for you to say hallelujah, praise the Lord, there will be no need to read it and make it a constitutional protection. They give it constitutional protection because they know that people will have to say offensive things at times, and they want that speech to be protected. If it were just to say praise the Lord, there will be no need to write a constitution and put it there.
But they say we even have the right to throw tomato and chicken egg at our leaders. Is that protected?
Well, try it. Go try it.
Well, you can see now that the Supreme Court is redefining the rules, and I don't know how it will play out, but I suspect other government people will try to use it to try to silence a lot of like activists and other things. And these people, it was people like Costa and Prophet Key then are brought in, and Yeke Koluba are brought into power. Prophet Key, Henry Costa, and Yeke Koluba. These were the people that brought this government to power. And if they come out with a ruling and they start to jail activists and other things like that, it's going to have a very negative effect on them eventually.
Councillor Joel, what's the long-term effect or repercussion of this ruling?
I think this is a warning to all Liberians that anything that is said, what the advocacy or whatever the issue may be, you are likely, because prior to this matter being heard, Chief Justice I think he was in Ronjaman during the opening of court. And the press may have asked him, or he was delivering a speech. He before the case being brought before the Supreme Court, he said your right to freedom of expression comes with responsibility. That is the matter for content was pending before the court when he was talking that way, meaning that every Liberian will have to be very careful, and they will either be fearful of going to offend anyone who is a government official. Because the question that used to be, I was growing up when I arrested you, they would say, do you know who I am? That's what the Supreme Court has said as a precedent. That crossing everybody's mind for years is a ground to have you arrested and sentenced to jail for 6 months. And somebody asked whether President Boyka will grant him clemency. I doubt it. I think President Boyka will sit quietly.
He goes with the majority.
Yes.
You go on the board, I got quorum.
Because he thinks this is a way to stop people like Yaka Kolobana. And, that is not only a detriment for the country. This is a process that puts Liberia 100 years backward. Because you cannot argue a case before the Supreme Court and challenge the justice and say that you need to be removed from this case because you are mentioned in this case. You might sitting here will corrupt the case. They will hold you in contempt.
There's a caller.
Asking them to recuse themselves, it will become a problem.
Emmanuel Tuba said, why don't you bring lawyers with opposing views? The show is one-sided.
And because the majority of Liberians agree with the side that we want. It's the right side. Yeah, come on. The whole person would defend this court decision.
Yeah, but you got an opportunity for people to call in, so maybe it's
right. So if you are there and you have a different opinion, please call 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. And these are our legal analysts, the band here. If you haven't, and they are not coached as to what to say. They are saying this based on their own convictions and their professional training. And that's yes, sir.
I think the person who said that the issue is one-sided is one of us to say, yeah, Prophet Kisha are going to jail. You're not going to just a man.
Look, but let me say this, right, Mr. John. It's like a snake, right? If you find a snake dying on the highway and you bring it home, you pet it, you nurse it back to health, and it bites you, it will be the food. Not a snake, because a snake is a snake. That's what they do. So if you align yourself with Prophet Key and you accept your support and you accept their support, and they start doing the same thing they've been doing to the previous administration, and now you can't handle it, you're genuflecting, you're so reactive to it. When the previous administration had to endure it for 6 years, who's at fault here for bringing these people into your tent and bringing them to support you? Who's really at fault?
Yeah.
Let people choose to celebrate right now, but you will see that one their relatives or themselves will get caught. You will go to Liberia. Don't say because you're living in America you will not go to Liberia December to go visit your family people. When you get there, they say, "Oh, this is the man who owned what you call it, the show and talking about the government the way you are talking. Let hold in contempt, and you will get arrested around feet."
Yeah. No, I'm not seriously, because some of us are playing the goal of Brussels, and if we start talking the way we like to freedom talk in the country, go by one and might arrest you.
Let me tell you a story. I wrote before Mr. Salih left from power, I wrote a letter to the U.S. government asking that Mrs. Salih, along with a bunch of people who work in her government, being corrupt, the U.S. government should put them on the list of the travel ban list. I went to Liberia. One of the lawyers called me and said, Mrs. Salih told me that we must sue you. What her name? Councillor, the one who all we were after Dennis, after Johnson, rather. He told me, he said, the old man said we should carry you to court. I have just entered a week. I went to the court. I went in the cafeteria to find something to eat. He said, so, my man, I hope you got some money. So I said, okay, you know why? He said, no. I said, let's go knife. He said, what do you mean? I said, let's tell the old man to bring 50 million. So we filed a lawsuit. We'll draw the plea and everything. So we give her money. So he told me that he went back to the old man. He told her to pay 10 million. The woman said, get asked out of my office.
All right. So today, let me. We still have no caller. So I personally, I wrote a poem in honor of today, which is entitled "If Even Our Anger Is Illegal." And let me read it for our listening audience. If even our anger is illegal, I'm just an ordinary man, no security, no motorcade, no immunity. I wake up thinking about food, school fees, rent. They wake up thinking about contracts and new cars. When powerful people steal, nothing happens. When they abuse power, nothing happens. When stories of rape, killing, and corruption circulate, nothing happens. We have seen commissions come and go, investigations announced, then buried, big names protected. We promised never again to fight, never again to burn our country, never again to turn our children into soldiers. So what did we do instead? We shouted, we insulted, we vented. It was not pretty, but it was not violence. It was the anger of hungry people trying to stay peaceful. Now even that is gone. A man curses and he goes to jail. So I ask quietly, not angrily, if we cannot fight and we cannot even shout, what are we supposed to do? We are trying to be better than our past. We are trying not to return to war. But justice must work for everyone, not just for those in power. Take away violence, we agreed. Take away insult, maybe, but please, I hold your foot. Do not take away our hope that this country belongs to us too. The end.
Okay, getting support.
You feel like Raymond has some money in your pocket.
I'm going in mine, so
yeah, I'm surprised that somebody said the show was one-sided, but I was hoping, given the fact that they had so many people rejoicing today, I was hoping somebody would call and present.
We have a caller. Hold on.
Okay.
But it will take some time. Let me get some. Let me bring on the caller. But go ahead, Anthony Freeman. Keep talking.
Yeah. What I was saying is,
and will incur a 1 cent per minute charge.
Oh, there was something. I can continue. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think, like you said, if you're looking at the long-term implication of this thing, I'm really afraid for the country. I don't know how even this can be sustained, because if you really put this to a logical conclusion, too many people will be at risk, because the difficulty in knowing what speech, so people will what we call self-censor. Like, you want to say something, maybe you have an outburst you want to make, but now you start thinking, I don't know if I say it, whether some big person is going to, misinterpret it and stuff like that. And it was not intended for that, especially prior to this ruling. Most of the cases of libel against public figure, they will lose most of it, because the law was mostly leaning away from holding people in like libel for saying things against a public figure, except you did it with real malice.
Thank
But
you.
if you just
Let me get some callers now. Our first caller is Joseph Colley. If I got the name correct, you are live. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. This is Joseph Curley, Brother John, and to Morris and Brother Freeman. Look, man, I don't know, I'm kind of confused on the decision from our Supreme Court today. I don't know whether the freedom we're fighting for, or it's just to terrorize other people, or circumvent the rule for ourselves. Because I don't see this thing as being justice for any. I'm for one, that criminal name of Prophet Key, and it's not about the man. It's about the freedom. The freedom of, that we talk about. So you can talk freedom now. It's pretty much like a policeman see you, you say anything, he can get back and say, oh yeah, you insulted me, I will put you behind bars. This man, we all know his character. But it is about the Constitution. It is not about the individual.
Yeah.
What are we talking about, my people?
Thank you.
Where are we heading?
I know.
Oh, we just want to suppress the poor people down there. When you got money, okay, it helps. When you don't have money, well, then the same plaki that were marching with the same president.
Yeah. So
they're fundraising and all for the brought the president to power. Was he not the same Prophet Key that went to Nima County with the vice president?
Thank you. So it means that President Bwaka is good, right? You can be a friend, but the law is the law. Let me bring you.
That's the ridiculous. But they created the Google man. They created this man insulting other people, and he was dead sitting.
Benefiting from his insults.
Thank you. Let me bring you our next.
It's about going after other people.
Thank you. We got a few callers here. Let me take the second one. 346 area code. Your name and where you calling from?
This is Dr. Amos.
Dr. Amos, go ahead. You're live.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment on what happened today. It is somewhat saddening that the Supreme Court of Liberia will bring a decision down about a case that did not go through the regular process. And what I mean by that is that I thought that the Chief Justice would have gone and become the
plaintiff.
The plaintiff. And sue Prophet Key if he wanted to make a point. But the fact of the matter is this is what both people are missing. Prophet Key is a comedian. I don't ascribe to what he's been doing, cursing people out. But he's a comedian and he makes money for doing that. That's his livelihood. That's his income. So, in other words, Richard Pryor in America and all of the people that follow after him have made millions of dollars from cussing. If that was the case, by this time, all of them would be in jail. So we have to grow our society up to be able to understand what is it that a person is going through or what that person's profession is. I think a better situation would have been to call in Prophet Key and say to him, "My man, you hate to be plenty now. I beg you." You see, I think he seems like a person of understanding. If you feel that your feelings were hurt or that he had no business cussing on your mom, do I want the mom to be cursed? But this has happened from time immemorial.
Yeah.
I know when I was small, people cussed my mom out too. When I got older, they cussed me out. You used to go to court to say, "Oh, the man cussed me over. He cussed my mom." So nothing like that has happened. So if you do this now, and you cut off free speech, freedom of speech, and people cannot say what's on their mind, then we are not growing. We are not a growing society. We will become a stagnated society.
Thank you. Let me bring in Senatorial Lion Yankun, a devout sedition. Senatorial Lion Yankun, you are live.
Hey, thank you, brother Jai. Yeah, greetings to all the intelligent men out there, man, women. Well, so when the president met with the man, shook their hands before going to jail or before going on the union whatsoever. I'm taking the political, I'm taking it out of the box. I know you guys are trying to look at the technical part of the rulings and all that, which is necessary, yeah, for the formality, but I can tell you that the executive, the one that making the judiciary to do the business for them, they are prepared the key man. When he comes out, he'll be coming out as a key man. He'll no longer be a rule man, and you'll be eligible to run as a representative or senator, either in Mazzarado or Nehemiah County. Nehemiah Garley, they want to orchestrate all these things. They're preparing this man for him to come and brainwash the common people, those supporters to create sympathy among the common people for this property that will pay for the rescue government again. The president see to it that the man is important. And recent time, a few weeks ago, this kid man made a video. He started the president. Why the president not call him for contempt? He said, we brought the president in power. But it's time for all the papier. The papier that roll. Excuse me to say, I can steal back. Okay. Prophet Key come in, they see that they're afraid.
You gotta be careful. Content hanging in the air.
Oh, man, that is from. I'm quoting from the key man. You know, as a fearless tradition,
Go ahead, tell you we got more colors. Go ahead, we got more colors.
You go in the church hall. Trust me.
Thank you.
Yeah, I see this to be a political arrangement for Prophet Key.
Okay.
That is this my thinking. I'm thinking out of the box.
Thank you.
The executive, Jeremiah is so dead straight. He used all the strategies to get Prophet Key to be a strong man of campaign for him. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, Dr. Pierre Lumumba said, don't even use the bats. You don't need the bats. So let me get our last caller here, Emmanuel Tukba.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis, for allowing me to leave a comment. I was the one that made the statement that the show is one-sided.
Okay.
The two lawyers.
Allergy and sinus, providing same-day results and custom treatment plans to tackle allergies.
Go ahead.
Hello? I'm hearing noise in my back. Okay.
Yeah, just go ahead.
The two lawyers in the show are actually saying the same thing. I listened to Tiawan Gongo today. I listened to the former Solicitor General or Councilor Seaford. I listened to other shows and prominent lawyers in Liberia. And they back what the Supreme Court did. Okay? Secondly, there were a call in shows since this morning when he was sentenced. Majority of the calls in Monrovia, there were people calling for 5 years in jail for him. We have a society. When does this start? Okay?
When does what start?
They're talking and then vulgarity. Then you and I grew up in the 80s. You want to get an MC and then our guys in the when we were in, you ever heard people cursing president, vice president, supreme and minister like that causing man? You put it cause your friend. You cause your friend and on the football field or somewhere and you're fight when he calls you. You don't get people insulting the elderly, insulting people. We see this in our society is just eroding every day. There's no ethical, there's nothing. This guy came into the place and he just
so Emmanuel, let's use the law now. We're not using, let's use the law.
Emotional sentiments.
What would you put in the law to stop that?
The lawyers I've already spoken. I just need 5 lawyers that said the people are right.
No. So what I did, I put.
No lawyer, no.
No. What I'm saying, I put Councillor Gonglo.
To represent the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I put Councillor Gonglo. Oh, go ahead.
What the guy position, Daniel? I'm not understanding him.
No lawyer in Liberia, councillor at law that practice in at the Supreme Court, none of them could represent a man. That they had to get public defender. Can you imagine that in Liberia?
So what is the law that was broke?
Oh, the man, the law is this, the law is that.
No, what is the law that he broke?
Okay. The councillor, from what I heard from Congo, he said he was one of the big drafter of that Samara AAK law and that the teaching out of speech. He said he never put in that law that insult and vulgarity whatsoever is not part of that law. He also said the Supreme Court has the contempting power. Is inherent within the Supreme Court. Supreme Court can call you and serve you for contempt. Is that he insulted somebody, he insulted the Chief Justice, he insulted the entire Supreme Court, brought it to public disrepute. The Supreme Court, the Chief Justice goes to work to do a judicial work. That man insult a person imbalanced mentally. He cannot concentrate.
Thank you.
Doing his job.
Thank you.
That is impeding the work of the Supreme Court. So you got to why he causing the mind, causing the part. That's not an issue. So that is brought up by Guinea. That was brought up by Guinea, Sierra and the Ivory Coast. It can never happen in those countries. It can't happen. It are not happy.
Thank you.
Jesus said down there, bro, we don't have nothing. You have to talking about right.
Thank you. So I did a show today, Emmanuel. Before you go, I did a show today. That the case involving Finabondo, the money at stake was in the 4 million plus. So all the corruption cases, all the asset recovery, which of these things doing more damage that we really want to stop? The causing or the corruption?
It's the Chief Justice, and then this guy is insulting my mother. The whole wide world is hearing me insulting my mother and disturbing my peace. I will go after him. In fact, I will sentence him to 5 years in jail.
No, but Emmanuel, before you go, what the lawyers are saying is you go to court, take him to court. You don't call him before your side and say, quick, you're sending you to. So you go to the regular court, so you can.
I'm not a lawyer, that's why I don't have to argue on the lawyer part.
Then listen to the lawyers.
Lawyers who are saying something different. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lawyers who get different views. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Thank you.
Councillor Joy. All right, we are about to wrap up.
I'm here.
Okay, Councillor Anthony Freeman, let's wrap it up. You go first, and then Councillor.
Okay, so this case, since
hold on, Councillor Joy, let Councillor Anthony Freeman go first.
This case sends Liberia back to the dark ages. And I don't see how it can be sustained in the long run because it violates the Constitution, it violates every principle of law. If Prophet Key committed a crime, that case does not start at the Supreme Court. It starts with the Ministry of Justice or with the Nigerian National Police filing criminal charges, and it works its way up all the way to Supreme Court. If Prophet Key says something that is not truthful and it damages somebody, that case does not start in the Supreme Court. It starts in the civil law court. Also, too, effective assistance or counsel doesn't mean that you can say, okay, since you don't have lawyer, let lawyer come tomorrow morning to plead your case. It means giving the person sufficient time to study the case and to present a reasonable argument. But here is a lawyer come tomorrow morning to plead your case shows that you are not giving them effective assistance or counsel, and that is contrary to the person's due process rights. I also think the lawyer committed malpractice. Because when you take a case for a client, even if it's the worst client under the sun, you are supposed to present argument in favor of the client. And if you don't want to bring argument in favor of the client, then don't take the client case. But don't take the client case and just push the client to say, just go tell the people sorry. At the end of the day, he said sorry, and the sorry was no use. The people still sent him to 6 months in prison. But look, here is my final statement to all the Liberian people out there. It's funny now because it's Prophet Key. But very soon it will not be funny. Somebody is going to say something on the talk show. Somebody is going to say something on Instagram or whatever gram. And some judge somewhere or some politician somewhere is going to call you and they're going to hold you in contempt and they're going to jail you. Watch my word, it's going to happen. And that's when you know that time trap is not for rat alone. I rest my case on that note.
Thank you. Evans, go with your closing and then Councillor Joel will come in.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. John. Look, some people would say to us, like, oh, you're too smart to be supporting somebody like George Weah. And, we had to bring him back in the conversation. But with all of his flaws and shortcomings, George Weah respected the freedom of the Liberian people, even though many people may have some criticism of him on that. The likes of Yeka Koloba walking around, cussing his mother, cussing his wife, cussing him himself, all the terrible things that happen when people, exercising the First Amendment right, maybe on the fringes of it. President Weah didn't go and kill anybody, he didn't arrest anybody, put him in jail, So I think the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice doing this is an abuse of power, just simple that. And it's actually a form, an attempt to intimidate those people who are on social media, like some of us who are on these platforms, who may be critical of them. It's intended to intimidate you, because if somebody can go to jail for saying something, perhaps salacious or slanderous, but again, you have to prove it in court, about the Chief Justice's mother, what about you accusing him of being corrupt? Insulting his character. It's not illegal to do it. It's not illegal to insult somebody. Not that we should be doing it, but if you feel like you have a right, or you feel like you're in the right to question a person's character if they're behaving in a certain manner, you could be arrested for it. You could be arrested for it. So as Liberians, that's aggression in our freedom of speech. Now, political space in Liberia is becoming tighter and more restricted, and I don't think that's a good thing for our country. So I think the government has to take a step back, because the MCC compact that they're going to probably be happy about, these things are going to impact our score. Even though in this country we know what's going on here too, also with freedom of speech and certain things, but they are going to they're going to hold you at a higher standard, even though they're not holding themselves to a higher standard. So Liberia is probably going to be regressing when it comes to freedom of speech, in the judiciary, how they perform. So for me, I think he was auditioning for his job when he gave his dissenting opinion during the court case about the Speaker of the House case, and now he got the job, and now he wants to be a dictator on that bench, and it's sad to see. But thank you for having me. It was a great conversation, listening to the lawyers. I think they will ponder well on the topic too.
Thank you, Councillor Joel. You got a final word.
Yeah, I was saying that the civil society organization in Liberia will need to hire the services of lawyers, since a petition for re-argument, if you intended to file a petition for re-argument, you have 3 days to do that. Considering the 3 days may run out, you may not have enough time to do so. So the civil society organization need to get together and file a petition to have the Supreme Court record this opinion. Because it's not only Prophet Key. This law will remain standing until it is recalled. It will be applied against anyone and everyone any government official thinks that you have offended her or him. And they could run you through your court system, and that could be the situation. Because, quite frankly, I know where the justices are tonight being trial lawyer themselves. They'll be thinking, why did they each sign this judgment? Because the judgment is against the weight of the law. The best thing to do is to go before the court and ask the court to recall this opinion. Stress the importance of what this opinion has done, how much damage and injury that Liberia will sustain or Liberia has sustained for having such a law on our books. If re-argument is not possible, the ability to record the opinion with lawyers should file action before the court in requesting the Supreme Court to record the opinion, stressing those points for which this matter is not a contempt matter. Other than that, we have a real serious matter on our hands.
Thank you so much, Councillor Jewel. Thank you, Attorney Freeman and Evans. Thank you also. Want to thank our viewers. We want to extend our we want to invite Councillor Gonglo or Councillor Serena Cephas. Any of you who agree with the Supreme Court decision, please, that will be reaching out to you to come right here and focus on Liberia so you can talk to our audience. Until then, we're going to close with a song that says, "We are all Liberians." Have a good night and God bless you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.